Good morning, Cambridge Springs Elementary. This is Mrs. Walsh bringing you today's virtual art lesson. Second grade, yesterday we had constructed our woven owl onto our black background paper. But I forgot one important piece of information yesterday. So I'm going to start there. As we were tearing these strips, if you had any leftover materials, you were supposed to keep a little bit, and we were supposed to add 2 little owl ears up at the top of these eyes, which I did not instruct you to do yesterday. So here's what we're going to do. See how I have a piece of the wing, and it's kind of hidden underneath the rest of them anyway. So I'm going to take just a little piece off the bottom of that wing feather to use for my owl ears. Now, I'm not even going to use scissors for this. I'm just going to tear a little triangle for an ear up here. And then I will do a second one next to that one for another ear over here. And I'm going to grab my glue stick and glue those down. Just a little bit this time. Don't have to worry too much about, because it's almost kind of squeezed in underneath those owl papers if you glued them good anyway. So there's our little owl ears to finish the construction part. And next, we're gonna start decorating that background paper. I sent you home in your materials bags a white colored pencil. But before we start designing the background, I want to practice on an extra piece of paper. So set your owl aside and set the white pencil aside, because we're going to be drawing on just scrap paper, which mine's going to be white, so I can't draw with white on top of white. And I'm going to grab a pencil, a marker, a crayon, anything you have to make a mark. It doesn't really matter what it is you're using. But we are going to make a couple of different patterns and designs for the back of the background. If you would like to put a moon up in the sky, you could practice a moon. If you want the crescent, points of the circle to make a little crescent. If you want to do stars, a 5-pointed star, up, down, side, side, back to the beginning. Some curly cues, start at the center with a dot and then work outwards, curly cues or snail shells we call those. And then if the 5-point star is too hard for you, we can add something called a twinkle, which is just line straight up and down, line side to side, and then a double diagonal, one in one direction, one in the other direction. So you can add a moon, you can add all kinds of the swirly patterns, you can add the 5-point star, which is kind of the challenge one, and then the twinkle if the challenge star is a little bit too rough for you. If you ever want to practice making stars, a good way to start learning stars is to make an upside down V, so it looks like a mountaintop, right? Then, kind of like making a capital A, you bring the bridge across but a little bit higher and you widen it, and then all you have to do is take the end of one side and connect to the bottom of the mountain and the end of the other side and connect to the mountain. And then once you have this really nice looking star on your paper, to practice drawing stars without stopping, start in one corner and follow the path over and over again, because you're starting and stopping in the exact same place, so it's kind of like a racetrack but with very sharp corners. Up, down, side, side, down, up, down, side, side, down, up, down, side, side, down. So that's a really good way to get used to drawing stars. One more time, it's the mountaintop, upside down V. Close it like a capital A, but the bridge is too long and too high. And then connect this end to the bottom opposite, this end to the bottom opposite. Follow like a racetrack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Once you've practiced these, and if you want to make up extras on your own, anything you want to do patterning in the background is perfectly acceptable. So keep this as reference to take a look at as you are working today. Get your owl back up on here. Take your white pencil. Maybe I'm going to put a moon up in here on this corner. I always tend to put my moon to the left. I can't tell you why, but I do. And then a moon isn't black in the center, so I would go in with that pencil and color this all in. I'm going to turn it so it's easier to color on this side with me being left-handed. Then let's go up in that night sky. Big stars that are 5 points. And the same thing, if you're doing a 5-point star, color it in the center. The whole thing would twinkle, not just the edges. Big star. Color it in. Twinkle. Swirl. Swirl in the opposite direction. Maybe a twinkle up here that's small above my owl. Maybe a really small swirl up there. Some others over here. Get done above the owl, any of that black area underneath, you can also start decorating. If you wanted to add a comet through the sky, you could draw a circle, color it in solid, maybe lighten up and put an aura around it, just a light little tracing around the outside, and then some motion lines from there. Shooting star. If you wanted to actually be a star, you could make it big enough to be one of the traditional 5 points. So there is a shooting star up there. Any little details, patterns that you want, perfectly acceptable. If you have extra paper, colored paper, you have art materials at home that you would like to cut things out and glue them on in the background, maybe make stars out of yellow paper, maybe make a moon out of white paper and glue it down, you are certainly welcome to get as creative as possible to finish up your owl. But if you do not have access to those materials, I am never going to hold it against you. If you can go to the store and get more things, if you're one of those lucky kids who has that, that's perfectly wonderful for you, but not everyone does, and I understand that. So if you just have the materials I gave you to work with, this is a perfectly acceptable way to finish it as well. Whatever you do and however you try hard to be as creative as possible is perfectly fine. You do not need extra materials to do anything better than anyone else, I promise you. So today was just about finishing up that pattern in the background. Tomorrow I have a new draw along lesson for you, so your owls are done. At this point, I would ask that you do take a picture of it when it's all completed and send it to me through the Google Classroom that we are using in Mrs. Meyer's room so that I can see your finished product to give you credit for it. That concludes today's art lesson. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.